Traiman is CEO of and Jerusalem Bureau Chief at the Jewish News Syndicate, and Armin Kurdian, retired U.S. Navy captain and national security analyst. So, Armin, I want to start with you. Your reaction to, obviously, Congresswoman Mesa's actions and reports that the president may be preparing a, quote, final blow in the coming days.
Good morning. I do have concerns about a large number of ground troops. If you're talking about occupying an island such as Karg Island or something very limited, that's one thing. But, rumors of perhaps them paratrooping into the country to try to secure nuclear material, which you don't really know where it is, that leaves a lot of risk and a lot of open-ended potential for some serious challenges. So I don't necessarily blame a lot of the congressional Republicans for pushing back on a lot of this. And in terms of what a final blow might be, I'm not sure. I certainly hope it does not include attacks on energy infrastructure. We saw what happened when Israel struck that oil refinery just outside of Tehran and the massive amounts of black rain, or Iran's retaliatory strike on liquid natural gas in Qatar. If that continues and expands, it could put us into a rather serious global recession.
Alex, former CIA Director John Brennan lashed out against President Trump last night on MS Now and made a wild statement about just how little credibility he believes the president has. Listen to this, and then I want your reaction.
Well, I tend to believe Iran more than I do Donald Trump, because he could not acknowledge the truth, even when it is, he's slapped in the face with it repeatedly. And it's clear that, he is flailing right now. He's trying to figure out how he's going to get out of this debacle that he has created. And so he's going to make these claims about negotiations, that the Iranians now are sending signals that they really want to make a deal, and indicates that they're going to make a deal on our terms. I don't think anything close to the truth in that statement.
Well, we now know that the Iranians have verified that they were having these negotiations and that they've gotten this 15-point plan. So what do you think about this? I mean, do you trust what the president is saying, or do you think that there's, a little bit of baloney being thrown out there?
Well, I think that the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel do have a very detailed plan, which they are acting out upon inside Iran. They're hitting the targets they want to hit. I think the war is going according to the schedule, even perhaps better than the schedule that the two leaders had set out. I do think that you have to understand the president, in terms of his negotiating strategy, is always trying to keep people off balance. He also tries to keep the American public off balance by keeping cameras glued to him on every statement. So I think that there's a lot going on behind the scenes that people don't recognize. But in terms of how the war is proceeding, from all accounts that we're getting here in Israel, things are going according to plan and according to schedule.
Yeah, Armin, I want to go back to that comment from John Brennan, who's largely been disgraced and is one of the architects of the Russia hoax. If he doesn't understand why an Iranian wouldn't put their hand up and go, ooh, I'm negotiating with President Trump, the regime would kill him. I mean, how does he not get that?
Well, I think he gets that. I think he's just bucking for a paycheck from one of your competitors, frankly. I think his comments are absolutely ludicrous. Now, when you're engaging in negotiation and these kinds of things, a little bit of misinformation, a little bit of misleading is standard fare, and that's okay. In fact, that's actually how you do this kind of thing. You don't want to be very clear. You don't want to give too much away. You don't want to expose your hand, whether you're negotiating, and you certainly don't want to expose who you're talking to, if you're talking with, say, some more moderate elements in the Iranian government who perhaps are at odds with the supreme leader. So that's totally fine. I do believe that we are engaged in some kind of negotiation. I don't believe Iran's going to give up its nuclear program easily. I think it has to be destroyed. But I think there is perhaps some room for negotiation on the other topics.
Alex, we focus on the Iran-U.S. talks, but Israel has been very clear. Netanyahu saying, we're not involved in those talks. We will continue our campaign. So they could come to an agreement tomorrow, but that does not impact what Israel does or doesn't do. How much does that make the talks kind of difficult? Because the war continues.
Well, I think Israel's strategy here has been to negotiate under fire. And so I think that by them having this pressure that they will continue firing helps President Trump in his negotiations. It's certain that both Netanyahu and Trump are aligned on how these negotiations will go, even if it's not to the liking of Prime Minister Netanyahu. We heard President Trump say a few weeks back that this war will end on a collective decision by the two of them. I can't imagine that Israel would continue without a green light from the United States. But that also could be the president's plan. can. Let's get America out. America's done its part. If Israel wants to continue and force a regime change, that's something that will be coordinated between the two leaders.
All right. Thank you very much, Alex Traiman and Armin Kurdian. Thank you.
All right, still to come. The Department of Homeland Security shut